Caitlin Clark just flipped the WNBA on its head with a message that didn't sound like a pep talk. It sounded like a farewell. Fans everywhere are left buzzing with one haunting question. Did she just hint that she's walking away from the league for good? From the second Clark laced up for her first pro game, she wasn't just a rookie. She was an earthquake, shaking the entire sport. She shattered records like glass, dropping threes from absurd range, piling up dimes and dragging the Indiana Fever straight into the national spotlight. Overnight, arenas were packed out, tickets were gone before tip-off, and her jersey, flying off shelves faster than anyone in the league. Veterans included, even casuals who barely watch basketball tuned in just to see what Caitlin might do next. By the end of year one, she wasn't just Rookie of the Year, she was Rookie of the Decade. She scooped up records, headlined highlights, and even bagged an ESPY for Best WNBA Player. For a league desperate for new life, Clark wasn't just the answer, she was the future. But that kind of weight can crush anyone, and with every spotlight came a shadow. Suddenly, her unstoppable rise looked shaky, and whispers about the pressure started creeping in. And yet, when most players vanish in the offseason, Caitlin came back like a storm, stronger, sharper, and flat-out scarier. Clips started going viral. Clark in the weight room stacking plates, her body transforming into something the WNBA had never seen before. Broader shoulders, a tougher frame. Commentators couldn't stop saying, "Nobody's pushing her around anymore." This wasn't just a glow-up. This was a full evolution. A warning shot to the league that she wasn't here just to survive the hits. She was here to dominate them.
Caitlin McBride hit Lexi Hull with an elbow. Foul on Lexi Hull. Hits Lexi Hull with an elbow, foul on Lexi Hull. I don't understand.
And it wasn't just her body that leveled up. Her game turned surgical. Word from practice, efficiency, ruthless focus. A player obsessed with rewriting the book on how to rule this league. Her footwork got cleaner, her release got lightning quick, and her reads on defenses sharper than ever. Caitlin wasn't leaning on just her deep threes anymore. She was building a full arsenal of weapons. Teammates whispered behind the scenes that they'd never seen someone so obsessed, so locked in, so desperate to silence every critic before the season even began. And fans couldn't get enough. Her workouts flooded social feeds, clips racking up millions of views, headlines screaming, "The WNBA's off-season shock." Suddenly, Caitlin wasn't just the league's star rookie. She was its new powerhouse, a one-woman brand turning Indiana Fever games into must-see events. This was supposed to be the year, the moment all the hype finally translated into playoff wins and a run that could shake up the entire league. But while Clark was sculpting herself into an unstoppable force, other forces were quietly stacking against her. Just when it looked like year two would be her takeover season, the universe, or maybe the league itself, started throwing roadblocks that no amount of training could outmuscle. The WNBA has a cruel way of teaching even its brightest stars the hardest truth. Nothing here comes easy. For Caitlin Clark, that truth hit her like a punch early in her second year. Just as fans braced for her to unleash this new, unstoppable version, the setbacks started rolling in, one after another. First, strange bench stints, long stretches where she was pulled from the game while everything was on the line.
We're going to look at it. So foul there on Indiana, on Hull there, but then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact technical.
It's a little surprising to see so many of these happen in one game because...
Oh, and I don't like the way
Fans went wild online asking the obvious. Why is the league's most marketable player being chained to the bench when it matters most? Then came the injuries. First, a nagging groin strain that yanked her out of marquee events. Then the brutal fouls that left her wincing on the hardwood. And the whispers started growing louder. Was Caitlin Clark being left unprotected by refs who should have been guarding the league's brightest star? The timing couldn't have been worse. The WNBA had built her up as its face, its golden ticket. And now every stumble was blown up into a full-blown headline. Commentators didn't hold back. Night after night, they pointed out how she was treated like target practice. Shoves, elbows, cheap hacks, and silence from the whistle. Opposing teams circled her like sharks, and the fans saw it all. Viral clips showed Caitlin being thrown around with no calls, fueling the wild debate. Was the league really letting its own superstar get battered for toughness points, or was something bigger at play? And then came the real gut punch, missing the All-Star Showcase, the very event where the WNBA had planned to parade her as the centerpiece of its future. And she was sidelined, watching rivals bask in the spotlight while she sat in the shadows. To fans, it felt like the golden child was being robbed of her shine before she even had the chance to own it. For Caitlin, the frustration was impossible to hide. Sure, she still gave us flashes of brilliance. Pull-up threes from way out, slick assists in crunch time, game-changing runs. But the rhythm? It was broken. Instead of writing her next chapter as the unstoppable phenom, the story was twisting into one of survival. And survival wasn't why Caitlin Clark came to the WNBA. But this storm was just warming up. Because while the hits and injuries bruised her body, the real damage was creeping in from the inside. Inside the locker room, across the league, and straight into her legacy. Another war was boiling, not just on the court, but in the locker room and across the league.
Come into tonight kind of expecting to play, darn near the whole game, just with the injury situation and the personnel available?
Damn, you played 37 minutes.
I mean, you played a lot too, Kels. What did you play? 35. I mean, yeah, we're down people, so gotta suck it up, play a little tired a few minutes, and take in those timeouts as best we can. But yeah, I mean, we're down people, so everyone's got to do it.
The same spotlight that made Caitlin Clark a national icon also slapped a target on her back. And it wasn't just rivals taking aim. Reports leaked of growing tension inside her own team. Whispers that some veterans were fed up watching every camera chase Caitlin, while their years of sweat and grind got pushed to the background. For some teammates, her rise wasn't inspiring. It felt suffocating. And then came the rivalries that poured gasoline on everything. None bigger than the firestorm with Angel Reese. Every foul, every stare down, every collision was a headline. The media cashed in, fans couldn't stop talking, but behind the curtain, it was ugly. It painted Caitlin as the outsider, boxed in, forced to fight not only opponents, but the culture of the league itself. Fans started pointing fingers at the WNBA, accusing it of protecting its old guard while letting Caitlin take the punishment. Hits, bruises, and humiliation in front of the cameras. And it wasn't just Reese turning up the heat. Other players, clearly sick of the nonstop Caitlin coverage, seemed to crank up their aggression whenever she touched the ball. Hard screens that looked personal, elbows to the ribs, and constant trash talk. It was all fair game. The atmosphere was electric, but toxic too. Every jab, every shove, every silent whistle only pushed the pressure higher. Caitlin kept her cool in public, smiling through it, playing the pro. But insiders whispered a different story, that the nonstop tension was eating at her, piece by piece. And then came the spark that lit the powder keg, officiating itself. Fans erupted online, blasting referees for negligence and calling it flat-out targeting. Every missed whistle felt like betrayal, another sign that the league wasn't going to protect the very player it plastered on billboards, sold tickets through, and used to fuel TV ratings. Suddenly, Caitlin Clark's story didn't look like a hero being crowned. It looked like a star being punished for being too good, too fast, too soon. And with emotions boiling over in the Fever locker room, fans started asking the question nobody wanted to say out loud. If she wasn't truly welcome here, how long would she stay?
This video captured by Chloe Peterson at Shoot Around. You can see Caitlin doing some work right there, just, warm-up work, back and forth on the court, but nonetheless on a basketball court. It's been a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark on a basketball court, certainly a long time since we've seen Caitlin Clark play basketball. Then there was a little bit more footage here, and you see Caitlin involved on the floor yet again, even handling the ball, working with her teammates. I mean, that's an important sign there to see her working.
And then came the message. the one fans can't stop dissecting like a hidden clue to her future. Right in the middle of all the chaos, injuries, tension, and refereeing scandals, Caitlin Clark dropped a final message that sent the basketball world into shockwaves. Just 4 words, sent directly to Sophie Cunningham after her season-ending injury. Love you always. On the surface, it looked harmless, even sweet. Just a note of support, the kind of thing any friend or teammate might say. But fans didn't buy it. To them, those words carried weight. It didn't feel like comfort. It felt like a goodbye, a farewell. Maybe even a warning that Caitlin herself was ready to step away. The timing made it explosive. After weeks of injuries, rivalries, and frustration piling higher than ever, those 4 words felt different. Social media lit up instantly, threads, debates, and wild theories everywhere. Was Caitlin saying goodbye to Sophie? Or was she quietly hinting at her own goodbye to the WNBA itself? Commentators called it cryptic, fans called it chilling, and insiders, they admitted privately, it sounded like more than just comfort. It sounded like a star with 1 foot already out the door. And here's the twist. Caitlin never cleared it up. No follow-up post, no press conference, no interview to calm the storm. Just pure silence. And sometimes, silence screams the loudest. If that "love you always" note felt like a goodbye, then the next question hit like a hammer. What's next for Caitlin Clark? Some fans are convinced she's gearing up for a break from the WNBA entirely, especially after all the bruises, hard fouls, and questionable no-calls she's endured. Others say her path is already expanding far beyond the league. Caitlin herself has teased bigger ambitions, chatting with icons like David Letterman about media roles, even half joking about one day running a team as a GM.
To come back in the worst way, not only if they want to save this, if they want to even play in mid to late September. This isn't a playoff team, what we're watching right now. This isn't a playoff team. This is a Kelsey Mitchell, please save us team. Kelsey Mitchell, we need 40 and 10, 40 points, 10 assists from you every night to be in the playoffs. We need a Herculean effort in the second half. We need Lexi Hull catching fire late in the 4th quarter and in overtime for this team to continue to.
And then there's her foundation, a powerhouse project zeroed in on education, nutrition, and sports access for kids. It's growing fast, and many believe that could become her true legacy, a platform that stretches way beyond basketball. Add in her record-smashing influence, TV ratings spiking, jerseys flying off shelves, sponsorships stacking up. And one thing is crystal clear. Caitlin doesn't need the WNBA to stay relevant. If anything, the WNBA needs her more than she needs it. But here's where it gets even louder. Reports are swirling that people close to Caitlin believe she's considering overseas ball, where stars are paid more and respected more. Or maybe even a full pivot into media, becoming a face that never has to take another hard foul again. Nothing's confirmed, but the buzz is deafening. Fans are left asking, is she closing this chapter? Or just opening a bigger, bolder one? Caitlin Clark's journey was supposed to be a fairy tale. Rise to the top, dominate the league, and carry the WNBA into a golden new era. And for a while, it looked exactly like that. But the reality hit hard. Injuries, relentless targeting, locker room jealousy, and silence from officials. That golden dream, it's twisting into something darker, heavier, and maybe even unsustainable. The breaking point was impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark's story was no longer just about basketball. It was about survival in a league that seemed determined to test her limits. Fans started flipping the script, asking whether the WNBA was failing its own superstar.
Reaction. It looked like it was a lot more violent than that. It's still got to hurt, though. The pass from Williams. Oh, Collier.
Maybe even pushing her away. Every game felt like a new controversy. Missed calls, hard hits, tense body language with teammates, and the league staying silent while the noise outside grew louder by the day. And then came the speculation that shook everything. Was Caitlin Clark already planning her exit strategy? Insiders whispered about heated conversations behind closed doors, frustration spilling over during practice, and teammates quietly admitting that the tension around her was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Some claimed the league wanted her shine to dim so veterans could keep control, while others said the refs were letting things slide on purpose, just to humble her. The debate ripped through social media like wildfire. Was this neglect or sabotage? Clips of Clark wincing after brutal fouls without whistles became daily reminders of how far things had spiraled. And while fans argued online, sponsors and media outlets watched closely, because if Caitlin Clark walked away, the WNBA wouldn't just lose a player, it would lose its biggest ticket seller, its TV ratings magnet, its future. For Caitlin, the silence was telling. She kept showing up, hitting threes, flashing brilliance, but that same fire now carried frustration underneath. Every look at the refs, every bump from an opponent, every tight-lipped moment on the bench fueled the growing theory. This wasn't the golden path the league promised her. This was a battle she never signed up for. And the question no one can shake. Is Caitlin Clark's WNBA journey already closer to its end than anyone dares to admit? The media frenzy only made things worse. Headlines flipped overnight, from celebrating Caitlin Clark as the WNBA's golden child to questioning whether the league itself was driving her out. Sponsors started sweating. Fans kept demanding answers. And every slip on the court was replayed 1,000 times online with captions like, "Is this how the WNBA protects its future?" The narrative had officially spun out of control. Commentators piled on too. Some blasted the refs for negligence. Others accused the league of secretly favoring veterans over its brightest star. Theories grew wilder by the day. Was Caitlin being set up to fail? Was this some twisted initiation? Or had the league underestimated just how much weight one young player could carry before breaking? And fans weren't holding back. Social media exploded with hashtags calling out the WNBA, threads dissecting every foul, every no-call, every icy stare between teammates. Some even threatened boycotts if the league didn't start protecting its star. "You don't build your empire on her back and then let her get broken," one viral post read, racking up millions of views. Meanwhile, Caitlin's silence cut deeper than any statement could. No rants, no interviews, just a player who looked like she was carrying an entire league on her shoulders while being battered from all sides. The story wasn't about box scores anymore. It was about whether the WNBA was tearing down the very superstar it had begged for. Now the tension has reached its peak. Fans, sponsors, even analysts are asking the same chilling question. If Caitlin Clark decides she's had enough, will the WNBA survive the fallout? The fear is real, and it's spreading fast. Fans are panicking, sponsors are whispering, and even TV networks are bracing for the unthinkable. What if Caitlin Clark actually walks away? Ticket sales that once skyrocketed thanks to her name are suddenly being watched with nervous eyes. Merch tables that lived off her jersey are now a gamble. Entire broadcasts feel like they depend on her presence, and everyone knows it. Behind the scenes, insiders claim executives are scrambling. One source even said, "If Caitlin steps back, we don't just lose momentum, we lose the season." That's how much weight she carries. The WNBA was banking on Clark to be its golden bridge into a new era, but instead, the league may have pushed her to the edge. And the whispers about what comes next are only fueling the fire. Overseas clubs have reportedly been circling, dangling massive paychecks and superstar treatment. Media companies are rumored to be reaching out, offering her analyst spots, studio shows, even long-term deals to become the face of sports broadcasting. It's no longer a question of whether Caitlin has options. It's how many she has and which one she'll choose. Meanwhile, fans can't shake the feeling that her cryptic "Love You Always" message wasn't just for Sophie Cunningham. It was for them, too. A goodbye tucked in plain sight. Every day of silence only makes the speculation worse, and every game she plays feels like it could be her last in the league. What started as the rise of a phenom is now spiraling into a full-blown crisis. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than ever. But the question is, does Caitlin Clark still need the WNBA? And now, with just 4 words, "Love you always," the entire basketball world is left spinning. Fans can't stop asking, was this just a goodbye to Sophie Cunningham or a goodbye to the WNBA itself? The truth is, nobody knows. Maybe Caitlin storms back stronger than ever, silencing the critics and proving she's still the league's unstoppable force. Maybe she pivots fully to her foundation, building a legacy that changes lives far beyond the court. Maybe she cashes in overseas, where stars are celebrated and respected in ways the WNBA hasn't shown her. Or maybe, just maybe, that was her way of signaling the end. A subtle message that her breaking point has already arrived. What is certain, the WNBA will never be the same. From the moment Caitlin Clark stepped on the hardwood, she didn't just score points, she rewrote the entire conversation around women's basketball. Whether this was her final farewell or the opening chapter of something even bigger, one thing is crystal clear. Nothing will ever go back to the way it was before she arrived. So now it's your turn. Do you think Caitlin is walking away? Or will she shock the world again by staying and taking over the league? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so you never miss the next update. Click the video on your screen, and we'll see you in the next one.